There's so many pots of money out there for schools. It's just finding it, and you know, if you've got a bursar who's good at filling in forms, grant applications, there's just so much money out there if you can get your hands on it.
The head teacher of that school, business manager, has given me, I think, the most powerful quote that I've come across, and she says that the bursar has enabled her to be the head teacher she planned to be, one with time to concentrate on maintaining high standards of teaching and learning in that school.
Having a bursar in the school to look after the business side enables the head to concentrate on the education of the children, which is what, of course, the school is all about.
Bursars and business managers are the new key positions within primary schools. At Millfields, they employ a full-time bursar and have money coming in from all directions. So much so, they even have their own hole in the wall.
This machine is called a Transact machine. It's brand new at Millfields. It's a new way of paying for our children's dinner money. It's a lot less hassle for the office, and parents can come in at any time. The cover is off the machine from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. So parents come in whenever and just top up the children's accounts on a daily basis.
If you're managing a large school like Millfields and you employ a full-time bursar, you'll recognise the importance of a close working relationship between head teacher and bursar.
So if you look at the government, that is what they're trying to encourage schools to do. To have a bursar or a school business manager and to make that individual part of the senior management team.
Because it's a key role.
And to recognise the key role they play in the school.
And we're responsible for public money. I mean, we're responsible for 3 million nearly.
It's more than that now.
This year's more than that.
It's nearly 4 million.
And, you know, it is a legal requirement.
Traditionally, this was a role that might have been taken by your school secretary, but now there are several options available to you.
There are a number of models in primary schools. Often it's the head teacher that takes all the financial responsibility with the support of a secretary or a PA. Some buy-in support from the local LEA on financial matters, and others have what I would describe as a full school business manager role, where there's a school business manager in the school providing all that support for the head teacher. Traditionally, bursars have been thought of as either dealing with solely finance or being involved in the independent sector, or maybe in large secondary schools, and this is why that sort of resource has been underused in primary schools. With the remodelling agenda and the school workforce reforms, it's important that all school resources are used to their maximum, and that's where the school business manager role really comes into effect, especially in primary schools where it's not often been a traditional role.
If the thought of employing a full-time bursar sounds rather expensive, there's no doubt that schools like Millfields are proving that the money a bursar can save and attract can dramatically reduce that cost.
Millfields is a very large school. It was a school that I amalgamated. It has grown. It now is an extended day school. It's going to be a children's centre. It has an autistic base. It is a community centre, has adult learning, and so you can understand how big it's got and how much money we bring in. Therefore, it was very necessary for me to have a school business manager. I couldn't manage it myself because I haven't got training in finance as such. And that's when nearly 4 years ago, we appointed Barbara Grimm as our school business manager.
Initially, when I joined Millfields, it was a matter of addressing all the issues that the school faced in terms of finance and payroll and personnel and administration, which I did. And now it's a matter of continually being on the lookout for new initiatives and innovations that can take the school forward and improve the school. And more recently, I've compiled a 5-year financial strategic management plan to make sure that the school is viable now and will be viable for the foreseeable future.
For the head of smaller schools, a full-time bursar may not be an option, so a part-time position may be more suitable.
We don't have a full-time bursar, we don't have enough work for a full-time bursar. We have a bursar who comes in once a month from the local education authority. When he's not at our school at Gainsborough, he's actually at other schools. In this way, I suppose it's a bit like sharing a bursar between us, but we pay a few thousand for our service level agreement for him to visit us once a month.
I remember the bursar service. We deal with the majority of primary schools and nursery schools. Our main role is to deal with personnel queries, journals. Following that, we deal with any budget problems that the head teachers have, and we deal with them.
I applied for the headship at Gainsborough and I came for the interview in the October. I knew that Gainsborough was a school in special measures when I applied for it, but what I didn't know was that the day before the interview the budget had actually been removed, delegation had been removed from the school, which meant that the authority had control of the budget.
The Bursar service provided by LEAs is usually available to you at a small fee and can help free up your time without relinquishing your control of the budget completely. Going down this route is an option for all primary schools, but sometimes the decision is taken out of your hands.
One of the things that deputy heads are short of is training on managing the budget. So although removal of delegation could have been a problem, it wasn't a problem, it worked out to be an advantage. What it did mean really was that I actually had somebody from the LEA coming down and working alongside me on the budget. It wasn't totally taken away and done by them. I still had some kind of responsibility, but I had the cushioning that they could provide. So there's enough in there for 40 weeks, which is pretty good. I prepare a financial report for the governors, and Danny comes in before the governing body meeting and about the time that I'm writing the financial report, so that all of the financial information is up to date. I think the most important thing that Danny does, as far as I'm concerned, when he comes in, is he kind of reinforces how much money there is left. I live in fear of being vastly overspent, and my first question when I speak to Danny is everything all right? And if everything's all right, I'm happy.
Often small schools feel that they can't afford to have a bursar because the resources are so scarce. But as well as a bursar being able to attract funding and make savings in the school, there's also central support in the standards fund in the school development grant with £279 million to support staff salaries and small schools.
Sudbourne is a small primary school in Brixton where the head teacher keeps firm control over the budget.
I mean, I tend to make the day-to-day financial decisions, certainly on small amounts of money and ordering and stuff. Big expenditure I would put through the governing body, and in fact the governing body have limits to what I can spend, and then I have to ask for their approval on that kind of thing. When I took over as a head, it was the one thing that really frightened me was finance. You know, I got a phone call to say, can you be the head tomorrow? And can you set a budget? And I'd had no financial training, and you know, you can get away with most things, I think, in education. But finance is the one I always thought, well, if you get it wrong, they're going to sack you. So it was the one where I thought, no, I need to brush up on this. And in fact, it was one of my performance management targets. And now I do feel quite confident in the finance. I tend to set the budget by myself using an Excel spreadsheet and tend not to ask for outside help on that. I'm not sure whether a school our size, we're going to be a two-form entry school, really warrants a full-time bursar. But I can see the attraction of schools forming little clusters and maybe employing one bursar. And then of course on grant applications, the bursar could be filling in the same form for 3 or 4 different schools. So I think maybe that's something that we'd investigate in the future with a few other local schools to employ sort of a shared bursar.
Another option that Lawrence is considering is to take one of his current administration staff and get them trained up under the government's free bursar training programme.
Looking at the proven benefits of employing a bursar school business manager, it makes me think of one example of a school that was actually in special measures following an Ofsted inspection, and they asked could their admin officer be put on the Certificate of School Business Manager programme. We prioritised them, made sure they got a place. The school actually came out of special measures successfully 6 to 9 months later, and the head teacher praised all the staff in that school for working as a team, but specifically highlighted the impact of that training on that admin officer.
When I first became a bursar in the early 1990s, the role was purely finance, but over the years the role has changed to cover all areas of school business management.
I think there's one looking for bursar, bureaucracy cutting toolkit, good practice in cutting bureaucracy.
Jane Wyman started working as a part-time finance assistant and was promoted within her school. She's now a full-time bursar and is a council member of the National Bursars.
Date in your diary for the 10th of March. I think you'll find it's very useful. I'll probably get another speaker as well, but that's how it lines up at the moment.
My role covers premises management, facilities management, which is catering and cleaning, IT management, human resources, as well as administration and finance. Some people think that bursars aren't necessary in primary schools, but in fact we carry out the same business management as secondary schools, and it's necessary for a bursar to assist the head with these functions to enable her to have time to look after the education of the children.
The Bursar Development Programme is central to the remodelling agenda about making the most of all school resources and working smarter, not harder. There's a number of examples of people who have been on the training with the National College. There's one particular bursar who started off collecting dinner money and is now the project manager of a £2.5 million building project in a small primary school. Skills audits can often be very useful because people have skills that they use outside schools that could then benefit the school. Another example is a bursar who was first employed to greet people and answer the phone and has now moved on to a full supporting role for that head teacher. Many heads and governors often look at the pitfalls of employing a school business manager. I would tend to look at it at the pitfalls if you don't employ someone. Many heads feel that they need to be in control of the financial aspects because nearly every programme or policy has a financial implication. But if you have somebody who's trained in that, they'll be able to give the head teacher the best information possible to make the best decisions for the school.
Bursars, full-time or part-time, bring financial benefits to any primary school, whatever its size.
The three things that I'd really want from a bursar are, first of all, good financial skills, accountancy, keeping the books up to date. Secondly, I'm a trained educationalist, I'm not a financial person, so I'd want my reports in layman's terms that both myself and the governing body understand. Thirdly, really, is fundraising. There are so many pots of money out there in education, and I just haven't got the time to pursue them all, and I would hope that my bursar would be out there actively looking for additional funds for the school.
Looking at the value for money aspect of spending value school resources on employing a school business manager, there are many examples of the advantages they've brought to the school. One in particular is where a school business manager from a small primary school, 150 pupils in a rural area, was trained on the Certificate of School Business Management, and in the 18 months following that training she managed to gain an extra £28,000 in resources for that school, either in savings or in extra funding.
Barbara, this is £5 for cricket. Thank you very much. Okay.
Back at Millfields, the financial successes that full-time bursar Barbara Grimm has introduced to the school include funding from the European Social Fund through to the Littlewoods pools. And the one group that are feeling the profits the most are the children.
Employing a school business manager or bursar has helped me to stop crisis management. I don't have to worry about the finances, about personnel issues and so on. Obviously I oversee all of that, but the majority of the work is done for me by the school business manager. It leaves me free to do the job that I'm supposed to be doing, raising standards in school. And I actually don't think I could function ever again without having a school business manager.
But for every school with sophisticated financial systems, there is still, of course, a place for the traditional biscuit tin.
There isn't really a difference between a business and, I think, a school. I think that when you have a business, it's about making profit for yourself. We're in the business of making profit for the children.